Bummer. My Yuriko being the AC follower theory didn't come through. I thought it was a cool idea. It would have been so freaking cool to have that actually happen. And then Yuri had that realization point of, damn, I got tricked the entire time. And Yuriko's like, you understand now? You understand now? It was still a cool little arc here. I really did enjoy episode 14 and 15. I think the AC follower concept being thrown in really complicated things a lot. I mean, last episode, as you all seen with my impression video, if you've seen it, my brain was spiraling out of control. Like, I was trying to figure out all this stuff. Now, granted, yes, the biggest problem and why I'd spent a lot of time last episode really thinking was the big problem with the last two episodes is around how Yuri came to conclusion about Racio. And unfortunately, they didn't explain it in episode 15. I think the conclusion I came to is because he was back here really thinking on Comet specifically. Why did Comet do that? She ended up being Gnosia. Why did she try to do that? It put too much attention on her. And then how does that go to I check out Racio? That's the part that I couldn't understand because Racio was doing everything that Racio typically does. Racio is brilliant. Very brilliant. And that's why it kind of plays into this episode, how well they concocted a plan to trap Yuri. Like, he was literally inside of the palm of their hands going, haha, do what I want you to do, puppet, whatever. I think the conclusion I came to is because he was thinking about Comet, he ultimately came to the conclusion that if Racio was a Gnosia, they would have thrown Comet on the bus. And why he would throw Comet on the bus is because we've seen from, the Gnosia Comet episode, she's a terrible liar. So I can see him as Gnosia being very brilliant, go, okay, I got to concoct a plan that will essentially ensure my safety, and I don't care if it means that I have to get rid of Comet, because Comet is terrible, she's going to get us caught, yada, yada, yada. I think that's why he ultimately chose to check out Racio. Because yes, that's the conclusion we have, is that he uses engineer skills, it found Racio was Gnosia, that's the conclusion. But how to get that point? And it could be around the fact that, yes, there's two doctors at the time. And if we're looking at, how Comet's doing this and how much Racio pulled on, Comet, it makes sense in the end. So I think in the end, that's sort of the conclusion I come to. I just wish that was better explained in the end so that it's not me sitting here speculating how he came to that conclusion. We know how he could, but how did he do that? Either way, that's episode 14. We're getting back in episode 14. Again, episode 15, phenomenal. Really love this episode. I'm a little bit upset that Yuri wasn't able to save Kukrushka. That's the only sucky part. Like, rip Kukrushka. Like, she's a good girl. She stepped forward and did a little thing. Wait, what's up, Kukrushka? Oh, you're the guardian. I just love her little sign language stuff and people picking up on it. Stella's over here having to translate her or whatever. But yeah, she stepped up, protected Yuri, and in the end ends up dead. It so sucks. I'm like, gosh darn it, Yuri, you couldn't save her life. You suck. You suck. But yeah, she was a good girl. I do like that they kind of, once again, have Yuri sort of trying to figure out what Kukrushka is. And again, that could just simply come down to, it depends on who's inside of her. Whose mind is inside of her. I think the moments that she's crazy is probably, yes, when Mamon's inside of her. Any other time, she's probably perfectly normal. Big cool little theory here is a possibility that when she's kind, that's when Arya is inside of her. The love of Jonas. There's a possibility that they've figured out a way in those loops to put her inside of Kukrushka, and that's when she's kind. I don't know. And again, she can't really communicate it to Jonas, which kind of sucks, but we'll see. We'll see as they kind of dive more into her, but yeah, I was really bummed out that she was taken out. But anyways, let's get in the episode proper before I miss anything. We open up the episode with initially Jonas claiming that Yuri is a AC follower. It was so funny when I opened up this episode. I'm like, okay, cool. We're going to get the answers to why Yuri chose Racio. We're going to get that answer right. And immediately Jonas is like, no, Andrew, hold on. We're flipping the table. Like, what is Jonas doing? What is Jonas doing? Why is he bringing up the AC follower? I think that was the weirdest thing about Jonas's decision here. Again, AC followers are supposed to create confusion. And yes, the moment that he kind of brought that up and claimed that Yuri was an AC follower, I'm like, okay, that's most likely means that Jonas is going to be AC follower. Why he's bringing this up doesn't make any sense. By him doing this, he's only putting more question to him specifically. And yes, it is sort of kind of creating this idea that the two of them are kind of safe. And that's a really good way of creating chaos while also giving himself his own protection. So it's like a two birds, one stone situation here. But it was still like, what are you doing? Why are you doing this? Other than, again, to create chaos. But it's still kind of at least putting a little bit of defense upon Yuri, which he ends up using. In the end, when, Racio's, throwing out his defense there because, Yuri claims that he's a Gnosia. When Racio's putting out his defense there of but wait, I called out Comet. I call out Comet, and she ended up being a Gnosia. Why would I call out my own kind of people? That doesn't make any sense. As he's doing that, the threat goes back to Yuri, and Yuri's like, well, in the end, an AC follower is a human. Right now, our focus is to take out the Gnosia. So that's just, you wouldn't have to worry about me, right? But again, it's creating confusion. And that's all this Jonas really wants, this AC follower wants. Create that confusion, create that chaos. They're lunatics, all that kind of stuff. It was a clever little sequence here that, again, kind of, once again, was one of the reasons why this story arc is the best, but also complicates things. It just complicates things even more. But anyways, as the confusion is created around Yuri once again, Kukrushka steps forward to his defense. His little flappy birds. And again, the moment she did, I'm like, no, don't do that, girl. It's going to put like this big threat upon you. And honestly, she really didn't need to do that in the end, because again, Jonas has claimed that he's human. Why would she even have to step forward to defend him? Other than the fact that, yes, they're working together in a sense, and thus that can create that little bit more of a, I guess, solidarity to the group that Kukrushka herself is defending him. And yes, Gnosia tried to kill him because nobody died that last night. I see why she's stepping forward. It just sucks for her because I don't think it's doing enough to really benefit him. I mean, it does in the end, because when they go to vote, of course, they get 50-50. 50 on Yuri and 50% on Racio. Until, yes, Yuri has to dog his please, let's do it again. Because I understand from Yuri's perspective, I'm like, oh, dude, if you don't do this, Kukrushka's dead. Either way, Kukrushka's dead. No matter what, because there's going to still be one more. And they're only going to get rid of one of them. It's just, yeah, one of those things of like, I don't want this sacrifice to be for nothing is really in the end. And I think I kind of agree with Yuri here and just bowing and begging, please, people, please do this. I like that the person that actually changes his votes is Sha Ming. It's so, like, fitting because Sha Ming literally is the one that taught Yuri how to do the Dogiza, how to properly do it so that people will bend to your will. He's like, I've been trained by the master. Please, let's do another vote. I love it. I got a kick out of that. But yeah, in the end, they do end up freezing Racio. And I do like the little conversation afterward because, again, Racio, I think, I mean, besides the waifu stuff, I mean, there's some waifu in here. You got some underoob, you got some oob. You got some, SQ up in here. You got some really nice, waifus in this show. Even Yuriko's got her charms. They got some nice women here. I still think in the end, Racio's turning out to be my favorite character. And again, I really want an entire episode devoted to really digging into Racio. And it really felt like we were going to get it for a minute there when we had the Yuri being a female episode. And they didn't really even get onto it. It was like, oh yeah, Yuri's not even asking about Racio's mindset around gender and whatnot. He's just, trying to get his mindset around this whole idea of the key itself. I want an episode of Racio because he's so clever. But yeah, right here, Racio saying, oh, you figured this out. Yeah, that's a clever choice. Yeah, that's typically where the direction would go. But still in the end, you haven't solved anything. You're right in my trap. Which we find out what that is later on with the whole idea of the double doctor thing. The double Gnosia doctor thing, which was, again, I think very, very clever in the end. And I wouldn't have been able to figure it out. If I was Yuri, I would never have thought about that. That was the last thing that would have been in my mind. And it makes sense in the end because you think about the idea of, what went down first was Yuriko and Atome. The two of them were already guard duty, so they couldn't have been doctors. So it kind of confirms there that you can't have more than one class. Coming to that conclusion still in the end would have been the furthest thing from my mind. But yeah, we cut to Yuri deciding who to engineer. And again, he immediately goes to pretty much the people that voted for him. My brain was kind of more leaning towards Sha Ming specifically. And the idea, the potential of Sha Ming himself sort of realizing that the vote's going to switch. There's a potential that the vote will switch right now. I might as well get on board with Yuri. And then in doing so, he's like, crap, I ended up being the only one that changed over. So there's a possibility that it could have been Sha Ming in the end. But yeah, he eventually kind of breaks it down to, well, let's just focus on those that voted for me. That's the safest bet. Okay, if we look at it here, we have Chippie, we have Remnen, and we have Jonas. Yeah, I get his kind of train of thought here is that Jonas is going to be the AC follower, most likely. I don't see him being that, because he's also calling out people that are Gnosia. And then he looks at Remnen, and of course, Remnen being the only other doctor. Again, I don't argue with him in that train of thought process at the time, because you just assume Racio was the Gnosia and that Remnen was the true doctor. There has to be one doctor, right? One of them has to be a doctor. So he ends up choosing Chippie because he doesn't really have anything to really kind of work with him. But the warp happens, and he's human. So he picked wrong. And unfortunately, like I said earlier, Kukrushka's dead. Grr. He couldn't save Kukrushka at the end. I mean, it was an inevitability. There's no reason why they wouldn't go with anybody else, because if they choose anybody else, there's a likelihood that Kukrushka will save them. Remnan reports that Racio is in fact a Gnosia. Jonas reports that Remnan is a Gnosia. And while Yuri is trying to figure out what he's going to report, he goes back to Remnan. And the fact that Remnan voted for him, and again, I would have never figured this out, somehow in that split moment realizes that there was a good chance that Gina was the original doctor, and the two of them stepped forward. I guess at some point he looked at the video files, or at least he noticed that during the meeting that it looked like Remnan himself was hesitant to report that he was a doctor. So again, they were basically sitting there as the Gnosia, not sure if who they killed was in fact the doctor. And then once nobody spoke up, he finally raised his hand. Very hesitantly, he finally raised his hand. Now, granted, Remnan himself being hesitant to raise his hand to say that he's a doctor, that sort of kind of checks out for his character. He's somebody that's very, not wanting to be in conflict. He's very closed into himself. He's always kind of hiding in the corner. Of course, he's going to be a little hesitant to raise his hand, but Yuri made the connection. It ends up being true that there was, in fact, two doctors. That the fact that Gina died, she was the doctor, and they basically stepped up as the doctors in order to create a protection around themselves. Just unfortunate for Racio himself is that Yuri came to the conclusion to check him. It's super clever. It was a super clever trick by Racio. Again, the guy's a genius, absolute genius. Even as Gnosia, still retains that genius that Racio has and created pretty much a foolproof plan that I would argue, if it weren't for the fact that Yuri took a chance on checking one of them, they would have lost. They would have lost. Again, with the whole double doctor, double engineer thing, the biggest problem with it is that you have a 50% chance of failing, or in a situation like this, you have a double situation. And now with the AC followers, you have a double situation there too. I mean, for example here, if Gina didn't die initially, and Jonas decided as an AC follower to act as if he was also a doctor, Yuri would then have to check one of them too, and he would find that it's a human, and the other one would end up being claimed as being a Gnosia. The AC follower creates so much problems, it's not even funny the more that I think about it. And it kind of makes me curious as how we're going to navigate things going forward. But that all said, though, Yuri claims that he checked Remnan as well, says that he's Gnosia as well, and that pretty much solidifies it. Like, no matter what, if Yuri's lying or if Jonas is lying, in the end, one of them is telling the truth. They're both saying the same thing. You might as well freeze Remnan at that point. I give Remnan a little bit of credit here in the fact that he brings up a good point. You two could have done the same exact thing. I mean, if Yuri didn't really have quick wit right there to refute it, I mean, it was a good point. But yeah, I love the fact that when he goes to freeze Remnan, he's like, wow, you figured it out. I'm surprised. Well, actually, I was fooled too. I realized it during the meeting, but you still investigated me. You still investigated me, right? Yuri, you investigated me, right? Humans can lie too. I like that little last bit there. It's totally like the meme. It's totally the meme. You investigated me, right? You investigated me, right? Anyways, yeah, it was a good little ending there. Really, again, good 2 episodes, despite my little issues around Yuri and Racio. It's just, I love Racio's character. He's super clever. Super, super clever. And again, this whole AC follower thing is just like a massive wrench into everything. But that all leads us into the next episode, which I am very curious if we're going to jump right into Yuriko confronting him from the beginning. It'd be crazy if the key decides to go on to a different line that doesn't have Yuriko. It would be foolish for it to do it because it wants information, and it knows that Yuriko has information, so it's going to want to go to Yuriko. Hopefully we get answers as to why Yuriko seemingly is retaining her memories across all these different timelines, all this stuff. And it's seemingly Kukrushka as well. Because again, Kukrushka said, you're going to find out. So it seems like both Kukrushka and Yuriko are transcending the timelines. So hopefully get some answer around that. Again, it's probably going to be Levy. It's probably going to be Levy, but we'll see. But anyways, that's my thoughts on the episode. Hope you guys enjoyed this video. As always, if you did, hit the like button down below. If you like this content, you want to support on more, become a member. Until next time, you'll take care.